We're all gonna be Matthew McConaughey now, right? All right. Why are you not suggest to play, huh? We're sticking with Tool tonight. In my headphones. Nothing in my headphones. You put it on whatever the fuck you want. Alright. This is gonna be a real slow episode, I think. I don't wanna be hostile. I don't wanna be dismal. I don't wanna rot in a hypothetical existence. See, I wanna believe you. I wanted to trust you. I don't want it to put away the day, but you lie. Cheat and steal, you lie. Cheat and steal, you lie. Cheat and steal, can I tolerate you? You lie. Cheat and steal, you lie. Cheat and steal, you lie. Cheat and steal, I cannot tolerate. How's everybody else feeling today, huh? I am actually kind of shocked that I don't feel like absolute shit. I'll be honest, like, my eye's acting up again, which is bothering me. Like, I mean, it's been bothering me for a while now. But it's like, it got really, like, rough today. So. I think I got some, like, a little left over of, like, the, like, actual, like, pink eye drops. So I don't normally take that stuff, because a lot of times my pink eye bouts are usually just sinus related. Like my deviated, yeah, I've said this a couple times on here. My septum is so deviated that I had an ear, nose, and throat doctor tell me that it looked like an alien's. And he even did the surgery, supposedly to straighten it out and everything. I had like the thing that, if you've never gotten deviated septum surgery, you gotta try it. If for no other reason than when they come to, like, pull out the packing or whatever up your nose, like, when they start pulling out, it's like a fucking, like, magician's gag. Like, they just sit there and they keep pulling. And it's like, okay, you know, here we go. We're getting all this stuff. And you're, like, sitting there like, okay, when's it going to stop? When's it going to stop? And then, like, comes the plastic part. And you're sitting there like, okay. Ah! It's an event. Let's put it that way. You lie, cheat and steal. You lie, cheat and steal. You lie, cheat and steal. You lie. I gotta fix this counter because it's telling me it's only got like 2 days left. Actually, less than 2 days. And I don't know what number it's pulling that from because it's. Technically, I should have till Thursday, right? Because my math is just really bad. Today's the 28th. Tomorrow's 29th. 30th will be Wednesday. Thursday is the last day to meet my goal. We're close, man. I got 2 followers. Hold on. I'm gonna get your names. I wanna make sure I get the names. MC Hammer and OK Brie. Thank you very much. I'll add you guys actually into the YouTube notes or whatever. That's what I forgot to do for the. I'll edit those. That's easy enough. I'm not done them because the last section of the stream from Saturday into yesterday was actually too long for YouTube. YouTube's like, yeah, you don't get to load more than 12-hour streams, so get the fuck out of here, asshole. I was like, okay, well, fine. So I had to create highlights, and then I gotta export those. They're 6 hours each. Just make sure this is like actually shuffling. You know what? We might give this a little. Since these are closer to us now, we can actually give this a little like form rather than like. You know what I mean? That makes sense. It'll help differentiate it. I met a boy wearing Van 501s and a dope beastie tee. Nipple ranks, new tattoo that claimed that I was ODT back in 92 when I first EP. And in between sips of coke, he told me that he thought we were selling out, laying down, sucking up to the man. Well, now I got some business for you, little buddy. Before you point your fingers, you should know that I'm the man. I'm the fan and you're the man and he's the man as well, so you can point that fucking finger up your ass. Ugh. Ugh. Son of a bitch. Like right here, about me is what I sold you. Dumb fuck, I sold out long before you'd ever even heard my name. You sold my soul to make a record, dipshit, and then you bought one. I got some business for you, little buddy. Before you point your fingers, you should know that I'm the man. I'm the American man, and you're the fucking man as well, so you can point that fucking finger up your ass. Was a bit of sad news today. It's sad, but at the same point, I'm very happy for the person. It's one of those weird little moments, you know. It kind of lacks definition. You know what I mean? That's what I sold you. Dumb fuck, I sold out long before you never even heard my name. I sold my soul to make a record, dipshit, and then you bought one. The comic shop I've gone to since I was like the first time I remember going there, I think I was 7 or 8. I went, my sister and I walked all the way from our house over on Clymer Lane here in Leadham. We walked all the way up to Folsom, which it doesn't sound like, if you looked at a map even, I don't think you think it looks like that far. But at 7 or 8 years old, it's a long fucking walk. You know, like, especially because my sister did not know all the cutaways that, like, we learned later on down the line. So we took the long way home, you know what I mean, so to speak. We walked a lot. I mean, even the cutaways she did take, we still walked a lot. But it was like the first time I remember going to it was, like I said, I think I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. And we only did it like the one time when we were still living in Leadham. Then we moved to where my parents currently live, which is about a mile away from the older house. We're obviously a little closer, a mile closer at least. And eventually, I had people that taught me a little cutaway through over some train tracks that got me that much closer to it a lot faster. So didn't have to walk as long a way. But mind you, I didn't learn that cutaway until I was in 8th or 9th grade. So I still would take a pretty long walk. But yeah, it was anyway, so once we moved up to where my parents currently live at 9 years old or so, that's when I would go circling regularly. And at the time too, I believe, was I 9? Was it later? Once I became an older boy too, I started making a little money from weddings and shit, and it was like, all right, we can make some dough, man, and we go buy comics a lot up at Frank's stuff. So, but anyway, Comic Universe after 40 years is closing down. Frank is retiring, and you know what? I mean, as I said, I'm sad because it's that's my store, man. I haven't been able to buy there regularly, and I haven't been able to buy comics in a long time with any type of regularity. But damn, man, if I get a couple extra bucks sometimes, it's all right, or Frank's having one of those goddamn awesome sales he does, every quarter or so. It's fucking hey, boom, boom, I'm spending some cash. It's I'm gonna get emotional this episode, I think, because first off, I'm feeling good, and I slept 12 hours, but I still kind of that little bit of your body's a little lagging, and on top of everything else, like I said, this is actually this is impactful. This is kind of it's like having a personal Stan Lee, saying goodbye, kind of thing, because that's really what Frank seemed to me when I was younger, especially. I'm trying to think of all the different fucking great times I had at the Comic Universe. Just little weird things sometimes that you don't even think about. And it's let's see. One of the first, really, the most impactful memories start really, I guess, right around 1989. Right around the Batman movie release. I remember going there for the first time, or not the first time, but not long after the movie was out, and that's when I started buying Batman books like fucking crazy. I was 10 or 11 years old, I guess, when that movie came out. I guess 11. I guess right around that time. Would have been probably a summer blockbuster, right? I don't know exactly when it was released, so it would have been about 11 years old. And that's when I should say, I started going regularly when I was 9. When I say regular, it was probably 4 times a year. Once I started to be like I said, 11, and where my parents was go, leave, I'd go a lot more. 11 was about the time when my brother had taught me the trick of, see, what you do is you ask Dad for your allowance, and then you go ask Mom, or either way, you reverse it either way. And you always tell the other one that they didn't give it to you. The other one didn't give it to you because they don't talk to each other about it. My brother taught me that trick. And he's a cop now. Sorry. But so, you get double allowance, so you start spending more on comics. So I'd buy up a lot of Batman books, and I just remember fucking the t-shirts and everything were fucking it was you had Batman t-shirts, you had the fucking Joker t-shirt, literally it was the Joker suit. And I wanted it so bad. God, I wanted that shirt so bad. I couldn't afford it. And I knew my folks weren't gonna get it for me. But I remember buying posters out the fucking wazoo. And it's worth noting too. Back then too, Frank had another store in the Bazaar, which is now gone from Clifton Heights. Anyone from Delco knows what the fucking Bazaar was. So I sometimes go there and buy from that store, but it was always the same thing. but I bought the comics from the Folsom, or the posters from the Folsom store. Remember that? This big fucking Joker poster. I remember that. I had that fucking thing. And one of the fucking, like, earliest memories, I still actually say this is probably the best contest I've ever won. Frank had a Batman clock, right? And it had a, I don't remember who the artist was on it. I think they might, I don't think it was Neil Adams. I'd have to go and try to, like, find the some of the promo shots from that time period of who it might have been. It wasn't Brett Fogel. But they had it was a big ass Batman clock, and it was like something labeled at, like, I think it was like listed as a $50 thing when you had it on sale, and then they did the giveaway for it. I bought like 2 chances. I mean, I could, whatever. It was like no chances whatsoever. I thought, whatever, I'm gonna win this, right? Because even as a kid, I knew I had shitty luck, and my name got pulled or whatever, and so I got called that I had won the Batman clock, and I had, and I got up there and I carried that goddamn thing. It was a big fucking clock too, and I was stunned when I found out, like, the back where the battery was like this big. Like, it had one AA battery that ran the thing. But it was like, it's fucking amazing, I wish I still had that fucking clock. I think it died in one of my parents' floods again. When I was living in the basement, or it got left down there when I was living in the basement. When I moved back upstairs in my actual, like, back into my old room. And it stayed down there and it got destroyed. But that was like, first time I won something. And I was just, like, so fucking proud of that clock, man. Every time I had friends over, look at the fucking clock, dude. I won that. Fucking won that. I'm trying to think what else. Goddamn, I could go through so much stuff. Frank used to do like a weekly newsletter for a while, especially when comics were, like, booming in the 90s, It was like, he just had tons of comic news all the time. What variant covers are this week, kind of thing. And you got, like, what was being released that week. You got all that stuff in those newsletters. And he'd have an artist corner. And I remember, let's see, I think the first one I had printed in there was probably, I think I was 13 years old. I want to say I was 13. Yeah, I was still in the middle school. I do remember that. I was still in the middle school. I'm going to try to adjust this a little bit. There's, like, a tilt to this canvas. I want to get it locked in there. Oh, there's just a tilt to this canvas, apparently. Just did not dry properly. Adjusted it. Oh, well, that's for someone in the future to worry about. Anyway, it was definitely after I'd started to, like, study, like, Jim Lee as an artist. So it must have been 13. But I remember when I got the first piece of artwork in there, which I believe was actually one of my own personal characters. I think it might have been Phantom Cop. Again, just fucking a kid. Like, I was a kid, goddamn. Anyway. I wasn't fucking a kid. Anyway. I was a fucking kid. So I was like 13 years old, I think, and I swear to God, it was like I remember showing it to my friends, like, I got in the fucking Comic Universe newsletter, man, it's fucking great, look at this, this goes to like 4 stores, and it's like, in my head, like, it was like, I got printed the Comic Universe newsletter, man, next stop's fucking Marvel, like, it was like that fucking stupid. But it felt huge, like, it really did. It felt fucking gigantic. And then, in a weird, like, sort of realization to that dream, in a sense, I showed the artwork, some of the artwork on here before. You can find it on the link down there for my website. Okay. I'm not as awake as I thought I was. Anyway. It's a good thing it's not a long episode. Now, my wife and I, when we moved in together, I think I said this last night, or was it yesterday? I don't know, whatever it was. Somewhere between, in the 24 hours that ended yesterday at 5 o'clock. I made comments about how when my wife and I moved in together, and I got laid off like a month later. And my buddy and I started working on building up the comic. We created Menace, that which I got my namesake from, and we, my buddy and I was trying to make comics and stuff, and right around the same time, I guess it was at the same time, Batman Hush came out. And I had been, again, when my wife and I were, when I was in the band and stuff, I started buying less and less comics. Because, again, I was trying to focus anything on, like, saving up for a guitar, saving up for strings, whatever it may be. Saving up for better microphones, all that stuff. And then I had a kid coming along the way, and that was something I had to focus money on. And, at 18 years old, you focus on your money on whatever you had. I had to focus on paints. So there was a long time where I didn't get to buy comics. And so Hush comes out, and I was like, all right, I got to start. I know I'm only on unemployment here and yada yada, but I'm just going to buy the Batman book. Just buying Batman. And, that's the right time. Yeah. And then, it was definitely at the comic. Yeah, when we were in the apartment. I did eventually get it, like a month or 2 months later, I got a job at, Connexa, and the downside of that was Wednesdays when comics would come out, I was working until like 7 o'clock at night in the city, and I wasn't going to get down to Frank's. So my wife would pick up comics for me a lot. Frank would pull them for me, and she was always very. She was like, it's kind of weird there. She goes, I can wait, like people like look at me funny. I'm like, well, you're a girl. Well, it's just weird. And like 2 years later, my wife and I moved out from Ridley and over to Malvern. And Malvern's about 40 minutes away. So I was not able to come down here as much anymore. And I would buy comics. I was working at Sears in the King of Prussia Mall. And I'd buy comics on occasion from, what was the name of that place? Comics and More? I think that sounds right. But I don't like mall comic shops. I don't like them at all. Any of them. None of them. Never did. Because Frank's store, to me, was always what a comic shop should be. I don't want to sound like I'm like fulfilling all the cliches of Big Bang Theory and like that, but it kind of, there's certain parts of that aren't entirely inaccurate, I think. Frank's windows were, and they still are to this day until they close down. The front window is pretty much covered almost entirely with posters and comic book covers. There's some merchandise in the front. He's got like a neon sign of it's Wolverine, and it's the claws. I don't think they work quite as the way they used to anymore, but the neon would light up so the claws would go schnicked. There's a Batman light in there. There's like, it's like, that was to me what the windows of a comic shop would look like. And you go to the front door, all fucking comic book covers again. Covers up the whole fucking door. You can't see it. There's like almost no natural light gets into the store. And to me, like, that's kind of the way a comic shop should be. You should be like entering a fucking Batcave, So mall shops, like mall comic shops, just never did it for me. Never. And I was pissed that I'm like, here I'm living in Melbourne. I can't get down to Frank. I gotta find a shop, man. And so finally, there was a place opened up in Westchester. It's called TDS Enterprises Presents Comics and Games. And I was like, all right, let me try this one out. And I pull up in front of it, and I went, windows covered. Nothing but like a couple bits of merchandise out here. All right, good start. Get to the door. Covered. All right, we're in a good spot, man. All right, we're getting there. I walk in. Now, the front area is dedicated more towards, like, tabletop gaming, and I'm not into that. I was like, oh, strike one. I was like, God damn it. But it had a nice, like, it was a cool feel to the place. It had a TV right up in the front, like, big-ass TV. It was playing, I forget which comic movie it was at the time, but he would regularly flip movies out. And I go to the back area, and the setup for the displays was much different than Frank's as far as the new books go. But the back issues were very Frank-like. I was like, oh my god, alright, this is good. This is good, you know. And after a while, I'd start talking to the owner. I think his name was Greg. It's been a long time, and the store unfortunately did close. And I'm nowhere near there anyway. But I'd start talking to him, and he was like, you know, I said, yeah, I used to shop at this place down in Folsom. I said, Comic Universe. He goes, Comic Universe, yeah. He goes, I grew up there. He goes, like, you know. He goes, I used that as the base, and I tried to make some different, you know, improvements if I could. And I was like, see, I knew there was something here, man. I was like, this felt like a good place to me, you know. And flash forward, like, a couple months, and the Preston and Steve comic book that I drew, The League of Extraordinarily Stupid Gentlemen, is finally getting printed. And we're like, okay, well, we want to give out free books. You know, that's all it was. It was supposed to be a free giveaway. But I wanted it to be in a way that, like, got fucking business, hopefully, to comic book shops. It was a very limited run, and I was like, okay, well, you know, I got to find out who will take this. First place I went was Frank's. I mean, I drove 45 minutes down or whatever. I was like, hey, Frank, you know, like, I got this free book coming out for Preston and Steve. Like I said, it's literally just, if you could just leave it on your counter and, like, give it to people if they want it. If anybody comes in asking for it, you know, whatever. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Brian. Okay, I was like, cool. Yeah. And, like I said, TDS approved of it. I did go to Comics and More in the mall. I went to Showcase Comics, and if you're not familiar with Showcase Comics, they were in the Granite Run Mall, which is long gone now, but I don't know where they went. I think they moved somewhere. Showcase agreed to it, and then from what I understood, they took the 10 issues that I gave them and went into the trash can. Instead of just being like, no, we're not going to do it, or instead of saying, hey, you know what, we changed our mind. It helped feed my hatred of mall stores. Like, I didn't have any, you know, like, I had very little love for them. Comics and More and the King of Prussia, like, almost balanced it out, but, you know. And those fucking books went like that, man. I'd left, like, I think, there was like 15 or 20 each place. They're like, yeah, next time, I don't know, like 50? I was like, okay. Like, and the first place I was filming were Frank's and TDS, because those were the two shops. I was like, I want people there, you know? These guys are my fucking homes. I felt bad when the second issue was funded partially by, when I say partially, like 50% of it was by Brave New Worlds Comics, and so they got, like, exclusive rights to the second issue, because I wanted people going to fucking Frank's. But even after all that, like, we did a signing for the first issue at Frank's, and I did some sketches and stuff, but unfortunately I've been feeling sick all day. All fucking day I felt sick. I was trying everything I fucking could, literally at work, to puke. Like, I was at my job the normal day, like, the whole day. Like, God, just throw up. And it was one of those sicks, you know, like, if I throw up, I'll be fine. If I could just throw up, I'll be fine. Didn't happen. I get to the signing, and I start doing some signings, and I went, oh God, I forgot to use your bathroom. As soon as I stood up, I was like, I felt so fucking terrible. It's like, this is my home, and I threw up in it. You know, but him and Jimmy were fucking cool. They cleaned it up. They did everything. I did sketches for Frank and Jimmy. Like, I was like, I did sketches for the people that were fast. I was like, but you guys get good sketches. I want you guys to pick something I would work my ass off on. I want to, you know. So Frank's favorite character, Silver Surfer. I did a Silver Surfer sketch. I just wish I knew. I learned a better technique to do like space, and I wish I did. I wish I'd known it before I gave that one to him, because I would have loved to have done that. Made it even like more like epic looking. But I believe it's still there to this day, actually, in his shop. You know, like up in the wall with all the other fucking like. He's got Comic Universe pages, like a like a comic page that was drawn out. I think it was Tom Brevoort. I'd have to double check with. I'd have to check with him. But he had some other artists and stuff throughout the years. I mean, he'd been in the shop now. Now it's been 40 years. So he had other artists that had come in and done sketches and stuff and signings, and he had all some of the original work from there. And one of the things he had me do, he commissioned me to fix a sketch he had done. When I first visited, I did say it earlier. When I first visited, I was 7 or 8. It was when we were still living here in Leadham, on Clymer, and my sister and I walked the whole way up like once, and then we started going regularly, and I said regularly, it's like 4 times a year maybe, when I was 9, and it wasn't until after I was like 11 or when after Batman came out that I would go up probably at least once a month. Because at the kid, like, when I didn't really understand, like, I never picked up, I knew they were monthly books but most of the time, but I was like, I just gotta, like, and I was saying earlier, I used to shop at the Folsom store, I also shopped at the Bazaar, because they used to have one in the Bazaar as well. But the Folsom store was, like, the one we went to regularly. And, I was going through some of the stuff, just younger memories. Like, I won a clock at his giveaway one time. I just buy some chances, throw it in there. I won this fucking Batman clock. It was like, like $50 or $60 value. And we're talking like 1989, 1990, 50, 60 bucks. You know what I mean? Like, that was a primo fucking prize. And it was it was like one of the first, like, I still to this day would say it's like the best prize I've ever won. And I won other actually Comic Universe giveaways at some points too. And I still hold that clock as like my fucking like top thing I ever won. And I remember, like I said, after the signing and stuff like that, like, he commissioned me once to fix a drawing he had done. The artist had visited, had done it in like a felt tip pen, and the ink had faded really badly. So he asked me to fix it up, and I did that one for him. There's another sketch. I think it was the same artist. And I inked that one for him too, and got that fixed up. And I got done the thing, and he's like, "What do I owe you?" And I was like, I was like, let me think about it, or whatever. And I was like, meantime, I gotta check out here. And I had, like, it happened to be a big fucking week. Like, I had, like, 3 graphic novels, I had a stack of comics, like, individual issues, like, that much. Right? And Frank just goes, "What if, just take those, and would that be enough?" And I'm, like, thinking to myself, like, in my head, I was like, this is, like, $80 worth of fucking books. Fuck yeah, this is enough. Like, I literally took me, like, 20 minutes to ink the sketch or whatever, just to fix up the lines a little bit. Like, fuck yeah, this is enough. I'm like, holy shit, Frank, you don't have to give me this. And he's like, dude, just go. I was like, oh my god. And, like, my, my kids have all shopped there with me. Like, I used to take Allie when she was probably like 9, 10 years old, you know, and she'd pick up the, there was a cartoon on Cartoon Network based on like a very old, like 1930s, 40s type character, Little Lulu. And she's still like running in small strips, and these books would be compilations of them. And Allie'd buy those fucking books up like left and right. Every time I'd go, basically, it was like, okay, well now on top of my books, I now gotta go see if they have a new Little Lulu. And I'd pick up all those fucking things. Once Vincent, like, even before Vincent could read, Vincent was buying comic books there. Because Boom Studios had made like the Cars and Finding Nemo books and stuff, and I mean that was right on top for Vincent, man. And now he pretty much sticks to Transformers, but he you know, whenever we go, it's like if I say I've got to go to Comic Universe for anything, it's like, well, the kids are coming with me. There's no negotiations there. They're coming with me now. And like, I mean, I just think about so much shit that, like, it's so hard to put them all together too. Like all the like the memories and stuff from that place. I remember, all right, like, I know stuff's still rough between you and your brother, but like, I remember your brother and I getting paid for working a wedding at the church, and we ran right the fuck up to Comic Universe, and we just ran right the fuck up. It was like not even a question. It's like, oh, look at this, we just got like $40 each. Boom! Like, we're done. We're going. You know, I was just. Actually, I think that might have been the weekend I bought, and this was like my most painful loss. This one hurt here. Like down here, when I lost it in the flood. That was when I bought Dark Knight. Yeah. Wait, aren't you guys still like? Or is that cool now? Because if it's cool now, you gotta let me fucking know. But yeah, we yeah. Yeah, your brother was an older boy. I don't think we worked the same wedding, but we both got paid. Okay. No, but we, that was, I believe, the weekend that I bought, Dark Knight Returns Volume 1. First printing. That was a big fucking deal. Well, you got paid to work weddings and funerals. A lot of times what happened was, like, the family would tip the church or whatever and say tip the ushers and the older boys or whatever, and that's the money we would make off of that. Yeah, Dark Knight Returns Volume 1 was a big fucking deal. When I bought it, Frank was on a sale, so I think it was 30% off, and at the time it was selling at the store for $60. That sounds right. So I took like, it was like everything I had. And I think I bought like one other back issue of like Spider-Man or something like that. But yeah, it was like almost all entirely in Dark Knight Returns. And when my basement flooded here, God, I guess 2011, 2012. That book was a victim. I mean, like, there were some books, like, I mean, I had all of Jim Lee's run on Batman, Hush, all signed, and 3 of those book issues were, like, signed and verified. I had to buy them, like, secondhand, like, off of, like, what was it? I forgot the name of the website. I had, like, Frank had not got, like, he had sold out of everything he had. There was no way he was getting it from his store, unfortunately. Those specific issues, but all the other things of Hush, he pulled for me. I lost those too. But like as much as that hurts, like you know, like that sucks. But that's easily replaceable. The fucking Dark Knight Returns is now like you look at those books, you're like, oh, I can't really afford that now. I can't spend that type of money anymore like that on a single issue. Yeah, that was a painful one. Free Comic Book Day a few years ago. I guess Sophie was probably 2 or 3 years old. Because she did not come with me that day because she was still too young. I was like, she's too young to sit there in the line with me for. Oh fuck! I got no fucking paper towels here. Do I? All right, that's fine. This one will do. Let's get me through like the next 20 minutes or so. But for Free Comic Book Day, they were giving out like little hero clicks. I don't know if you know what those are, but they're like little it's for like a tabletop gaming type thing for Marvel characters, and well, there's a Marvel at DC, whatever. But this one was a Thor giveaway for Free Comic Book Day, and there's a little pile of them. And I was like, oh, you know, these part of it, and they're like, yeah. And I was like, all right. I was like, grab one, Vincent. I said, I'll grab one. And I said, that's way, you know, we'll have one. I can give mine to your sister. And he goes, and then one of the other guys, it's one of the guys that like comes and helps out on occasion with Frank's, for Free Comic Book Day and stuff. And they were like, oh, you know, it's one per customer. You know, it's like, oh, okay, well, he's getting, all right. I was like, that's fine. And I'm sitting there checking out, and Ella, his wife, leans over. Go grab one, Brian. I was like, go grab another one. Because I had grabbed one. I was like, all right, well, this one's mine then. He goes, but I can't give you one and not give one to your sister. And Ella was, go grab one, Brian. You and your kids are family. I was like, dude, you know, like. And there were a couple other times where, like, I had to work one Free Comic Book Day and I couldn't make it, and Frank actually pulled stuff for me. And I was like, that's fucking, you know. There's little stuff like that it was always like, you know. And I only asked him really, I said, can you just pull the stuff, like, really that my kids are interested in? That was the only thing. I was like, I can't get there, you know. And I don't normally want to ask this stuff, but there's like you know, this one little kid's book. I'm like, can you grab that one? And I was like, and he did. He'd hold like, I'm not doing this right. I'm not wearing the right way. Like, you know, I'll hold it up a little bit. Years ago, during the Blackest Night storyline, they were giving away. Well, actually, I think it was the War of Light. Maybe it was Blackest Night. I don't know. They gave out these lantern rings. All right. They have one for every color lantern that they have. So white, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and black. All those rings. And again, you know, like, hey, I got these books on my pull list. Frank, can you snag a ring for me too? Snag a ring for you, Brian. Like, it was always fucking. I mean, like, you know, if you were there, if you were a regular man, you know, you were family, like, you know, and it's always it's just it was, like I said, it's literally, I hold every goddamn they were, or are you talking the rings? No, like, no, Frank is a store. If you, I mean, you know, you look, the nerd community now, you know, the comic book community now is bigger, and it is, you have more people in it now. But if you go back to when I was a kid, you know, when you were a kid too, like it wasn't like that. Like, you were small. Like, we were, you know. And especially, like, again, someone like me who was at the time dreaming of making comics, you know, when I was younger, it's like, and having people there that would, like, look at my work and just, you know, talk about it or whatever. Yeah, oh yeah, and that's just it. Yeah, they are. They you know, like I said, I remember, like, when I had my first first sketches printed, and I got a couple. You know, it wasn't just like that first one. Like Frank published a couple of them, and they were never like, I didn't draw other people's characters. It was like, you know. Oh yeah, yeah, they were. And that's just it. When I went, man, it was like, you know, the place was fucking booming. But again, booming to what degree? Because there were a lot of people in the 90s that were buying shit, and they weren't part of the community. You know what I mean? Like, they were... The 90s boom and then bust almost exclusively was a lot of people that were coming in buying, you know, issue number 1 of whatever the fuck it was. They didn't care. Because they assumed it was going to be something they could send their kids to college on. You know? And, you know, for comic shops at the time, you know, obviously money is money. They don't give a shit, you know. And so there was money to be had. But at the same point, even back then, you know, you knew who your regulars were. Even back then, you know, you're like Frank knew, you know, which of those nerdy little kids, you know, were going to be around for a while. There was a guy who worked for Frank, and he worked there for years. His name was Jimmy. Jimmy started working for Frank, I believe, when he was like, I want to say he was like 15 or 16. He might have been a little older than that. It was long before I, you know, I mean, it was I think mid-80s. I'm trying to think. Jimmy was older than me. And Jimmy passed away, actually the same day Adam West did, I think, or right around like a day or two apart. And Jimmy had lost his mom, and it was kind of in a bad spot when kind of Frank and him kind of, you know, met up and actually were able to kind of like, you know, sync up. And Frank, you know, took him in, and Jimmy had been there. Jimmy was a fixture. You know what I mean? Like, Jimmy worked for him. Jimmy knew my kids. You know, they knew hit. Like, you know what I mean? Like they was like, and that's the whole thing was always like that, man. The whole experience was always there, and as I said, that, you know, that shop still to this day, and it will always be this way. I mean, my buddy, a buddy of mine at work, and I were talking a little bit. He said, you know, well, in the end, shops are going to vanish, and people aren't going to buy physical copies of comics anymore. They're just going to, kids, maybe within Vincent and Sophia's generation, or like the very next one, will stop buying physical anythings, probably. He's probably not entirely wrong there, but I was like, dude, there is a different experience than, you know, of buying a Kindle version of a comic book or whatever. Which guy sounds like the worst? The guy I work with. No, I mean he's okay. He's I mean, he's right. He's looking at a trend. If you look at the trend of things, and per issue now, books are expensive. I think DC Comics for the most part are on average $4 a single issue for 22 pages of comics. You know. And you compare that in some ways to, like, say, a graphic novel, like, or a compilation of 6 books, maybe, at $24. Yeah, you start to go, okay, well, it's about the same, but then it's usually in a nicer format. It'll last longer, and you can read the whole story in one shot rather than wait a month. And there's it is starting to trend that way. Everything's leaning that direction. He's not wrong. But again, the idea is that, like, in that, these guys are going to lose something. That's kind of one of the reasons why I think I was, like, hard to push my kids to, like, we're going to Comic Universe for a while. You know, like, it was like, so I wanted them to see the store. I wanted them to feel that little, like, you know, like, you know, there's all sorts of collector's items and shit all over the walls there. You know, different figures. There's old Transformers, for God's sakes. 1980s Transformers up there and shit. Like, and, you get up there and you're like, you know, the kids, it's hilarious because they react in a way that's not even like the way they react at, like, a normal toy store. You know, like, at a toy store, they just look at stuff like, oh, it's a toy. Like, but there they look at the stuff and they're like, oh my God, Daddy, look at that. That's Godzilla. You know, like, it's like a whole other thing to them there. You know, Daddy, look. It's the Infinity Gauntlet. I was like, yeah, I know. I should get that thing. And just like... Oof, there go my customers. Anyway, sorry, just picturing that for a second. So many good memories. Anyway, you know, it's like, but like I wanted to make sure my kids got to experience that. I mean, God, I'd love it. And I mean, there's still hope, I guess, to a degree. I mean, the article itself may have driven up enough notice that people will start trying to save the store, you know. And again, it's one of these things. This is a bittersweet moment. You know, like, it's, again, Frank's family, you know? So to me, it's like, I'm happy for him. He's busted his ass for 40 years, you know? He deserves his rest at this point, you know? He deserves his, thanks. I mean, I you know, again, if I could, I would. I'd do it in a heartbeat. And again, I'd do it even knowing that the idea that, you know, knowing the trend is down the line, you know, dying out or whatever, you know, I'd still do it if I could. I did say to Heather today when I came home, hey, thanks very much, that cryptic. Yeah, we're it's gonna be a little bit slower episode, like, and it's almost over actually. I mean, I'll probably cut it off at like 10:30 or so, because I'm still kind of like, you know, a little bit from the 24-hour stream. I'm not terrible. I felt pretty good actually this morning, shockingly well, actually. But I found out today, what we've been talking about for a while here, is my the comic shop I've been going to since I was a kid is closing down finally after 40 years. The gentleman running it, who, like I said, I've known since, you know, I was younger than my son. He's retiring now. He's definitely, you know, it's heartbreaking and heartwarming at the same time, kind of thing. You know, it's like one of those moments where, like I said, selfish me, don't close. You know, like, no, you can't. Like, you can't close. It's bullshit. You know. But then there's, like, you know, the me that recognizes this man as like a beyond just a comic book shop owner, you know, like he's a friend of mine. He's someone I've known for a very long time. And it's like he's earned his rest, man. He's earned his retirement. He earns his time. He's earned his time with his family, and you know, it's like, so it's like, yeah, it's a bittersweet moment. But and I was just trying to run. I've been trying to run over some of these memories that I've had from the place because there's just so fucking many of them. There's so many that, like. I swear it's the only place I've ever had luck when it comes to contests. Like I said, when I was 9 years old, or no, 9 or 10. No, maybe I was 11. I think I might have been 11. I'm trying to think. It must have been after the Batman movie. So then I won that. I won this big ass Batman clock that was listed as like $50 or $60, and we're talking 1989, 1990 money. Yeah, so that was a lot of money back then. And I won, and I'm like, oh my god, yeah. And I've won. Sometimes when he does sales or like on Free Comic Book Day, he'd run another contest, just buy a couple chances in, and like won a couple of those where I'd get a little bag full of like toys and gift card, or like graphic novels and other books and such. Like, ah man, there's every figure. All right, here we go. I'll do this one. Hold on, let me adjust this a little bit. It's not going to zoom, unfortunately. I can't turn the other one around. But if you look up here, I'm not going to like try to like. That way. Go. A lot of them fallen, unfortunately, because again, I think the other night I was talking about how there's something that may live here, and I don't know what it is. But like, all these figures. Actually, you know what? The White Lantern might be the exception. I think he was a San Diego exclusive, I think. I had to order him. But every little other one here. The Red Lanterns, orange, yellow, green, blue, all the way back there to the indigo and violet and black. Every fucking one of these Green Lantern figures I bought from that store. Every single one of them. And it's like, I could go through. I don't have my long boxes anymore after a flood of mine. But I go back. There's a bunch of boxes up on that shelf, and there's a few more down here. Every fucking one of them is filled to the brim with comic books. And at least if I were a betting man, 90% of them came from his shop. A lot of it's 90s trash, you know? It's 90s books that have no value that I was And Dev, thank you very much, man. Much appreciated. Always appreciate the hosts. I was a 13-year-old kid, 14-year-old kid, I love Jim Lee, so literally they put multiple covers up for a Jim Lee book. Take my money! But like I said, I'd be willing to bet that at least probably 90% came from Frank back there. Somewhere back there. This is still my prized one I bought from him. After my Dark Knight. I think it's back here. I know. Where the fuck did I put it? I can't find it. I have a few years ago my basement flooded, and that's when I had my long boxes underneath my stairwell in the basement proper, and it flooded out and it destroyed a lot of books. Most notably was my Dark Knight Returns volumes 1 through 4, all first printings, and that was a huge loss. I lost like $450 in comics, and like $230 of it was in those 4 books. Actually, might have been higher than that, but total loss might have been higher than that. Anyway, but I still have one back there somewhere hidden away that is still like my fucking like pride and joy. First appearance of Gambit. What made me fall in love with comics? That's a really good question. Because it's like always been there. I can't even like. If I had to say where the real origin is, it's got to be in the Batman TV show. That and Wonder Woman. like combined, you know, because like when we were kids, we just fucking watched the shit out of this. And my brother and my sister both had, like my sister had a Wonder Woman sleeping bag, and my brother had a Batman one with all the villains on it and everything. And actually, that's what I just need to find out, because the illustrator of that they had the pictures on that sleeping bag is the one that actually had the illustrations for the clock, if I'm not mistaken. But I remember that sleeping bag as being the fucking warmest thing I've ever, like when I would borrow my brother's. It's the warmest fucking thing I ever slept in, man. It's fucking awesome. So it's got, the origin has to be there. And then, like, you know, that Batman movie came out with Michael Keaton, and it was like, you know what I mean? Like, literally, the fucking head exploded from that fucking thing. I remember, like, picking up a Ninja Turtles book really before they were like a thing, and be like, what the fuck is this thing? Grabbing it, because it was like one of those one in a, you know, of the 4 times a year we'd get up there and grabbing it, and it was like so weird, and it was just like, oh, this is like neat, you know. I didn't understand why it was in black and white. Like, it was like, you know, I thought all comics were colored. And then, like, they became huge, and it was like, oh, I got Ninja Turtles, yeah. But I just remember when my sister and I walked up there the first time, like I said, I was 7 or 8 years old, and it was like, the first time going to that store was like, whoa, you know? It's kind of like I said, it's like the same thing my kids did, like, and still do in a lot of ways. You got into the store, and there's all this shit all over the walls, and, you know? Like I said, no natural light's coming in. It's kind of like a little cave. It's like your special little place. Like nobody, you know. And it was like, it was just that moment, you know. And then once I got to like 13 years old, like, I was really trying to, I wanted to do comics, and fucking Jim Lee's art at the time, like, my head could not tell. Like, I didn't not know how to understand how to, like, someone could draw like that. And the more and more that I've done research into comics as I was trying to get in, as I was trying to do it, you know, like, it actually, it's funny, because when you look at the history of books, like, you look at the history of the comics, and you start studying the craft of it, you fall deeper in love with it. There's no way not to. You know, you go through the history, you know, go back to the Golden Age, and you find out, like, kind of like the way those guys were fucking drawing back then. You may look at some, like, old Golden Age history book, you know, Golden Age comics, and think, like, how, like, the art looks really simple and stuff at first. But you have to remember that sometimes those guys were, like, literally cranking out a book in a weekend. And not like 22 pages books. They were cranking out books that were like 30, 40 pages sometimes. You'd have a guy in the bathroom drawing and handing it to the guy, you know, in the kitchen to ink. Like, literally, they'd be in their apartments and shit, just plowing out, you know? And you find out then about, like, the whole thing with, like, the corruption of innocence and that weird shit that happened. People were, like, you know, what had to come up to bring up the comic book industries, you know, the code of, you know, Comics Authority Code, and how that came to be. And you're like, okay, well, and then when they started violating it on purpose so they could tell stories that, like, were important, like, you know, Speedy as a junkie, and Spider-Man's drug, you know, issue where it was about an anti-drug message, but because of the Comic Code Authority, they weren't supposed to print them. And so they had those seals, you know, when the seal didn't show up on a book, it was like, whoa, what the hell is this, man? Yeah. And unfortunately, being a child of the 90s, I guess, it's being that was when like my real comic focus had started, and wanting to break in during that time period, I lost a lot of good study time for storytelling, um, which I did make up eventually once I started to, push again later into comics. Um, but then when you do go back, then you start looking at those older books and you start looking at those, you know, some of those original guys, and you start figuring out the way they actually were like thinking about comics, and you start to go, oh my god, these guys were literally like making movies with unlimited budgets in a sense, and that's the way it's the one bit of advice I can give to anybody that wants to break into comics, even as someone who never did, but I made a few books that were giveaways and stuff for radio station or whatever, but I studied a lot about it. It's just unfortunate. It was like I became an old dog, and I was trying to learn new tricks, but I did pick up one major thing, which was that if you want to learn to draw comics and draw good comics, not just draw like shitty splash pages all the time, watch movies. There you go. But think about the way watch movies with intent of thinking about how the camera moves across the screens. Like, a great example, it's a simple one. There's a little sketch pad. I need a pen. Who stole my pen? Shit. That's fucker. I got something I can draw with. Fucking artist, fucking draw with. Anyway, alright. It's a simple little idea, but it's amazing how you can just not even pay attention to it. I'm just going to do this with like literally letters. I'm not even going to be like doing, Yeah, I'll just put like little shapes and heads, like literally like circles. Oh wait, I'm screwing this up. I'm already fucking this up. God damn. I'll switch that up. There's an explosion or something over there. Okay. This will get more exciting later. Alright. Ignore my scribble part, because I, literally got stupid. But if you, look at something like this, alright, you just picture a conversation between A and B. Or in this case, I think I did B and A, but it doesn't matter. Alright. This guy's closer to the, to the camera. I'm going to do it this way. It'll be easier for me to see it, too. Alright. Alright. So you got a conversation. I'm going... Everything's backwards here, sorry. There's A. Right. He's close to the camera. And B. Now you're changing up the conversation a little bit. Boom. You flip the camera around. B's closer. But A, notice they're still, on the same side. It's the same, B is still on... on the left, and A is on the right? So, again, I'm sorry, the video's backwards on me, so I'm and then you go down, it's still the same way. But then at that last one, they fucking switch, right? It's a simple little storytelling moment, but when that switch happens in your brain, if you're looking at those, when you're looking at that, and that conversation makes sense to you, when you're reading or you're watching a movie or whatever, and when that camera switches and those people are now on opposite sides, your brain goes, whoa, what happened? So if you're doing an explosion or something like that's going on, that's the time you move that, I think I might have talked about it once before, some bullshit one time I was fucking around, but you picture Batman is in that conversation, Batman's B and Gordon's A, right? And, you know, Batman's in there. What's going on, Jim? And, you know, Jim says, well, it's, you know, the Joker's attacked again, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you know, Batman's reading like that third panel or whatever, where they're almost like, you know, directly in the middle there. And then Jim's like, and then when that flip happens, Jim Gordon goes, I'm pregnant and it's yours. You know, like, or whatever. It's like, holy shit! Like, that's that type of, like, camera flip. And it's like a simple little thing. They call it the rule of 180. But damn, is it effective in books. And if you don't want to do the flip, if you want to keep things so the reader can just zip, 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 you know, then keep them on the same side the whole way. No matter how many times you shift the camera up this way, you know what I mean? You know, A's on the right, B's on the left, or, you know, like, or however it was. I don't remember that anymore. But you keep it that way. Like I said, no matter how you know, however you want to zoom them, whatever, until you want to shock somebody, and then you switch it so that you've broken that 180 rule. You know, a lot of comics in the 90s used to forego backgrounds. Like, you'd see a lot of backgrounds that were just like, you know, speed lines or whatever, just a bunch of guys screaming, ah! You know, like, literally, if they were Rob Liefeld, they had 75 teeth, you know, like. But the backgrounds, and this is where I fucked up when I was a kid, why I didn't end up, you know, what hurt me many years later was the background's like the most important part. And you go, what? The background's like absolutely the most important part of the comic book. And, like, it doesn't matter how your superhero looks, technically, in the end. If you have no idea where that superhero is, what are you reading? If you don't know where, if you have a whole page and you've never seen, you know, you watch it. You watch films. It happens all the time. Happens all the time in films. And look for, people can give M. Night Shyamalan a lot of shit. All right, I'll tell you this: when I started trying to really draw comics, like when I was trying to put Menace out, when I was doing the League of Extraordinary Super Gentlemen, I watched the shit out of Shyamalan, because Shyamalan, for all the shit people give him as far as maybe his writing and storytelling can go, like as far as like actual, you know, trying to shock people or twist or whatever, like his direction, the way he moves the camera and stuff, is really superb. The one I always like to point out is Signs. And the main reason for that is just the suspense of Signs is so well done. And you can do that in comics, you know. You can hold that pregnant pause of, you know, you make like 5 panels on a page or whatever, and it's just like the long shot, you know. The scene I'll talk about specifically, because it gets me still this fucking time. I hate the fucker for it. Is when they boarded up the house, you know, and they're all having their pissed off at, you know, Mel Gibson's pissed at everybody for not eating their dinner. And then they realize they're coming, you know. They get a shot of that door, you know, and it's similar to the same shot that they had previously in the dude's house, and actually Shyamalan's house, or whatever, his character's house. But they get the shot of that door, and it's like a pregnant pause, and it's not a very long pregnant pause, but it's just enough to make you sit there and go, okay, the alien's hand's going to come out of the door. All right, here it comes. Coming any minute now. It comes now, right? Fuck! You know, like, it literally gets you every time. And it gets me, let's put it that way. And I know it's coming, and I still sit there, like, okay, it's coming. Here it comes. Don't get scared this time, Brian. Don't get jumped. Don't jump. It comes now, right? Jump! Yeah, like, every time it gets me. But you can do that in a comic book sense by just doing, like, you know, here's the shot of the door. Here's the exact same shot of the door. Here's the same shot of the door. Here's the same shot of the door. No, it's like where the hands come under. Like the lower, like the hands come right under the hand of the door. And, you know, and he's very good about stuff like that. You can go back and you can find all sorts of little bits like that. And, like, you can, you know, if you study that, so like with Menace, when we were doing Menace as a book, it wasn't a horror book or anything like that. I mean, it was a superhero, like Batman, kind of like Punisher kind of type, you know. yeah. Think of it like Punisher with a little bit more of Batman's moral compass. You know, you don't want to have to kill anybody if he's trying to fight everybody, but if he's got to, he's going to. He just don't give a shit. But we were trying to plan scenes in that way, you know, and that, like, if we needed to do something to kind of hold the moment, you know, we were studying Shyamalan. The guy Bungo was writing for me. And it's you know, and like I said, this is all stuff that, yeah, when I was a 90s kid, I didn't pick up on, because a lot of comics in the 90s were just literally, like I said, it'd be guys screaming, you know, almost Dragon Ball Z style for like 3 pages, and you never see a background in any of it, or you see like a background with like 2 lines of, because they're in some sort of weird alien spaceship. And do they have feet? Who knows? You know, is there ground there? I don't know. You know, like, but when you go back then and you start looking, and like I said, once I got past that whole like 90s edge of things, it was like, all right, let me start looking at, like, you know, how does like Kubert do it? Like, you know, like how did Kirby do it? How did these other guys that were fucking masters at this, you know? And I went back, and I'll grab this one again. I pulled this out. I pulled this out when Stan died, and then pulling it out when Comic Universe is closing. All right, this fucking book. See, I was a moron when I bought this book, because I thought, oh, how to draw comics the Marvel way, and I was looking, like, I didn't realize what year it had originally been written, so I was looking at stuff for 90s, like, looking stuff, and I was looking through all this early stuff. I don't give a shit about how to draw cars, or how to draw, you know, airplanes, or building. Fuck that. I just want to draw the figure. That's where I started on chapter 5. I was a moron as a kid. So anyone trying to break into comics, to this day, this book still has a lot of good goddamn information. And this is a pretty sure this might be your first print too. Let's see. No, you know, it's not a first print, but it's, yeah, because it was copyrighted in 1978. But this printing, where is it? It's an old one. Let's put it that way. I'm trying to remember. I think it's like 89, 88. No, it's older than that. But I found it in Frank's shop. 84. 1984. There it is. That book? No, I don't think so. I think that at the time that was just like it was an oddity. You can probably find it somewhere. I'll be honest, like a bookstore still. It's still in publication as far as I know. And if you can't find the book version of it, there is a video of it still on YouTube. There was a video copy, and for the most part, this is a script. Like, Stan might improv a little bit, but it is actually hosted by Stan and John Buscema, and you know, they pretty much don't waver from that as far as how it's, you know, and they go in step by step, and they break down, like, the drawings that are in here, you know, like, and even like the simple things, like I just had one and I lost it, like showing how to draw a circle in perspective, like. They do it's almost identical. It's just how to draw comics the Marvel way, and it will probably pop up on YouTube pretty quickly. I think it's like an hour and a half, something like that. The nice part about the video is you don't have to picture Stan's voice in it, you know? And he does all his extra Stanley, oh, the Marvel comics, what? You know, it's all, you know. It's got that extra Stanley flourish in the video part of it. You're just going to have to pause it a lot more often, that's all. And DC Comics put out some good issues, not good issues, like good books as well. See, I find it terribly ironic in a sense. I have to cut this stream soon because I'm tired and go to bed. But I find it terribly ironic in a sense that, like, when I was a kid, when I was trying to break into comics, I focused so much on the figure and I ignored everything else. And as a painter, I do almost anything I can to avoid putting a figure in my work. It's like, you know, I had that person back there. I had other shots with other people that were closer, and I was like, oh, I don't use that one. You know? I guess I totally avoid it. I mean, I did do some shots with my kids and stuff when they were in it, but there were a lot of times where it's like, I don't want people in there. I don't even want people things. Like, you know? I want the world. Yeah. So anyway, I've been on a rant. But again, it's like, this is all stuff, I mean, all of it, technically, in the long run, I owe to Frank. I owe it all to him, you know? You know, it's like, I only say it's like kind of ironic in the fact that, like, literally, I mean, I studied anatomy like a fucking doctor would. You know, like, I don't have an issue technically drawing figures. It's just that I don't want to. Yeah. I owe it all, man. My love for comics and everything, because again, even as a kid, you know, as a dumbass kid, you know, they didn't talk to me like that way. You know, like, you start asking questions about comics, you know, whatever it may be, and you know, Frank and the guys that were working there at the time, and you know, Paul Poole worked there for a while. If you remember Paul? Yeah, I remember that. It's like, you know, you start talking comics with those guys, and it's like they'll answer any question you had. You know, you don't know where to start with something, go talk to them. They'll tell you. Yeah, if they're in the middle of a story run right now, you know, for whatever, Batman, Superman, whatever, you know where to start, they'll tell you. Look at you there. It's like, you know, they want to welcome people into the industry, and yeah. Yeah. There's never anything wrong with a new reader, you know what I mean? And I think that's the thing that... I guess it's like the one of the reasons I like the... like the barrier that you kind of almost have to go over to get into a comic shop. Like I said, I love the fact that Frank's windows are all covered up, and you know, like, you know, not a lot of light gets in there from the outside, and you know, like I joked around, like I said, my wife went in to pick up some books for me once, and she said, like, the guys all looked at her like, you know, it's like, did they scatter into the corner? I used to joke, like, did they move like cockroaches into the corner? She was like, not really. I was like, okay, well, they weren't the regulars. No, but I knew those guys. It's okay. But the like, it's like, it kind of challenges you to find out that it's not that bad, like, you know, or whatever, like that, or that's actually like really good. Like, it forces you to like kind of, I don't know, it's just a little weird, like, to find out, like, oh, it's not. You know? I don't know. I like that. It's like, you know, mall comic stores are always open. You know, they're always, come in, and it's like, no, fucking, you gotta want to go in. You want to be part of that community. And if you want to be part of that community, like, these guys are all welcoming into it. I don't know. So. Yeah. And maybe this is coming from a perspective of a person, like I said, I walked from, at 7 or 8 years old, from down here on Clymer Lane, up Chester Pike, You know, I don't remember what the name of the road is by the hospital. You know, by the chop shop, but not Swarthmore, but the one before that. You know, I know. That's what I said. It's not a really long walk if you check the map. Technically, the distance isn't that far, but my sister drug my ass all the way up there. You know, hanging right at the, like I said, before the hospital. You take that up towards what's there? There's an apartment complex off to the right. I can remember the path, the exact path we took too. Right? So you go. It was the apartment building off to the apartment complex to the right, and we hang up but we went to the left up. There's another apartment building right there that we're like, you know, you hang the left and now that one's on the right, and we cut through like the driveway there, or like the parking lot there. Not the post office. The post office is like it'll take you up to the back end of the post office, that street. But we cut up that way. We went through the parking lot of this other apartment complex that went behind. What's there now? Well, we ended up popping out where it's now Nate McCall's auto shop is. It used to be. I can't remember the name of the guy. I used to take it to him all the time too. Car to him. Graham's. It used to be Bill Graham's place. But like right across from the 7-Eleven. We came out right behind that auto shop. And followed sellers around up to Swarthmore. Took Swarthmore up to the library. Because they used to have a little cutaway behind you know, the strip shops or whatever. It would take you up towards the library way. So we'd cut across the library parking lot and the rest of the way up McDade to Frank's. That's the exact path we took. And, you know, then we moved to my parents, where they live now, and it pretty much was the same thing from there, you know, again, up Swarthmore, until I figured out about the cutaway behind the tracks. You know, back down, like, East Rogers Street. There's a cutaway on what appears to be a dead-end street, but you break through the fence there, you hop over the tracks, there's a little walkway path, boom, it takes you right next to the shop. You know, it was a hell of a walk, and so, you know, as a kid, you know, 7, 8 years old, I walked my ass off to get up to the comic universe. I wanted to be part of that community, you know? So, I gotta cut this loose, man. I gotta go to work tomorrow. I gotta deal with insufferable pricks that somehow make me seem less insufferable, like I'm somehow not as insufferable a prick. So we'll be back at it. I mean, I knew there wasn't going to be much done tonight. But we'll be back at this on Wednesday night. So, thank you very much. Thanks, GG Dog. GG the Dog. I forgot the duh. But thank you very much. It's getting there. So, we'll insufferable prices? You mean pricks? Yeah. Yeah, we'll be back at this on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. And I think Thursday's a good time. We'll be wrapping this up. It's a bit there, so. Got a lot of work done on that 24-hour stream, so I'm kind of like not like even like, it's going to be a 7 episode, whatever it is. Alright, have a good night, guys. I'll catch you later. Let me get my thanks for watching thing ready to go. Good night. Oh my God!